Liquidation means winding up of the company, or in other words, you sell all the assets of the company and pay off all the liabilities and close the company. So if the company is overcapitalized, then how do we recognize it? Then how do we go in for capital reduction? All this will be a part of internal reconstruction. So when two companies come together and form a single company, then we call it as merger. Hello everyone, I'm Purnima, faculty in the Department of Commerce and Management, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. I welcome you all to this session. In this session, we will be having a discussion on the fourth SEM subject, that is Advanced Corporate Accounting. So this is a subject prescribed by the Mysuru University for fourth SEM BCom students, and it is an NEP syllabus. So let us have a look into the syllabus for the next year, for the next coming SEM. So this is Advanced Corporate Accounting. We have the introduction class. Now, what is the agenda for today's class? Now, in this agenda, so in the first, we have the syllabus for the entire semester. For the fourth semester BCom, what is the syllabus comprising about? Next, what is the learning outcome? So from the syllabus, what will the students benefit? Then, what are the number of units? Then we have the internals, and lastly we have the exam pattern. So what is the pattern of the questions which will be asked in the examination? So about that we will be having a discussion in this session. Now, firstly, let us have a look into the syllabus. Now, what is the syllabus prescribed for the fourth SEM BCom students in Advanced Corporate Accounting? So in this, the first one is Unit 1, we have redemption of preference shares. Now, what do we mean by redemption? Redemption is nothing but buying back of the shares. So we all know what is the meaning of the share, and we all know that there are two types of shares. One is the equity share, the other one is the preference share. Now, what about the equity shares? Equity shares cannot be redeemed within the lifetime of the company, but the preference shares can be redeemed. Then, how do we redeem the preference shares? What are the conditions laid down by the Companies Act, and what are the arrangements the company has to make for redemption? So, all that will be there in Unit 1, that is redemption of preference shares. Now, in Unit 2, we have mergers and acquisition of companies. Now, what do we mean by merger of companies? So, when two companies come together and form a single company, then we call it as merger. Or if an existing company takes over another company, so that becomes acquisition. So, what do we mean by merger? What do we mean by acquisition? What are the types of mergers? That is, it may be amalgamation, absorption, external reconstruction. So all this will be discussed in Unit 2. Now, in Unit 3, we have internal reconstruction of companies. Now, what is this internal reconstruction? So, when does the company go into internal reconstruction? What are the provisions laid down by the Companies Act for internal reconstruction? So, all this will be in Unit 3. In Unit 4, we have liquidation of companies. Now, what do we mean by liquidation? Liquidation means winding up of the company, or in other words, you sell all the assets of the company and pay off all the liabilities and close the company. So that is what we mean by liquidation. And in Unit 5, we have recent developments in accounting and accounting standards. So what are the latest developments in accounting and what are the latest accounting standards? So all that will be there in Unit 5. Now, let us see what is the learning outcome of this subject. So firstly, we will know the procedure of redemption of preference shares. So when the students are, they just read the subject relating to Unit 1, then we will know what is the procedure for redemption of preference shares. Then second one is the different methods of mergers and acquisition of the company. So what are the ways in which two companies can be merged into one, and what are the ways in which we can have acquisition? All this we'll be learning in the second unit. From the third unit, we will understand the process of internal reconstruction. Now, what do we mean by internal reconstruction? So, if the company is overcapitalized, then how do we recognize it? Then how do we go in for capital reduction? All this will be a part of internal reconstruction. Then next one will be prepare liquidator's final statement of accounts. Now, whenever a company goes into liquidation, then a liquidator will be appointed to take care of the liquidation process. So, he will take care of the liquidation process and submit this liquidator's final statement of accounts, where he will be just giving all the income whatever he has got, or whatever the sources, so whatever the assets he has sold, so what are the cash proceeds he has received, all that, and also how he has made payment. So that will be a part of the liquidator's final statement of account. Lastly, understand the recent developments in accounting and accounting standards. So what are the recent developments in accounting, and what are the various accounting standards, latest ones which are there? So all this will be, the students will be getting to know. Then now let us go into the first unit, that is redemption of preference shares. So we all know what is a preference share. A preference share is a type of share which has a preference over the equity share. Now what kind of a preference they have over the equity share? First thing is preference regarding the payment of dividend. Second one is preference regarding the getting back of the capital. So these preference shareholders will get a certain amount, fixed percentage of dividend, irrespective of whether the company makes a profit or loss. So in case there is a loss, then the company can always it will pay the dividend in the coming years. So that is, arrears of dividend will be paid in the coming years. So this kind of a preference, the preference shareholders will enjoy. Now let us see what this unit holds for us. So first thing is, we will have what is the meaning of redemption. So meaning of redemption means it is nothing but buying back of the shares. That is, shareholders' money, whatever they have collected from the shareholders, that will be returned to the shareholders. Then, what are the legal provisions regarding the redemption of preference shares? So, whether the Companies Act lays down, what are the provisions the Companies Act has told? So, as per the provisions, every company has to follow the provisions in order to have the redemption of preference shares. Next, what is the treatment regarding premium on redemption? Now, the Companies Act says that all of the preference shares should be redeemed at a premium or at par, but never at a discount. So, what are the provisions regarding the premium? How the premium should be treated? How to make the payment of premium? All this we will be studying here. Then, creation of the capital redemption reserve account. Now, what is this capital redemption reserve account? The CRR account is created whenever the company's divisible profits are used to make payment to the preference shareholders. So, if the preference shareholders have to be paid, then first thing is, we have to see whether the company is going in for a fresh issue, or whether the company is selling the investments, or whether the company has sufficient profits to pay off the preference shareholders. If the divisible profits are there, then such profits should be first transferred to capital redemption reserve account, and then the preference shareholders have to be paid. Then fresh issue of shares. Yes, in case the company does not have enough of cash to redeem the preference shares, then it can always go in for fresh issue of shares. So fresh issue of equity shares. So what is the number of equity shares we have to issue in order to collect the amount necessary to pay off the preference shareholders? That we have to calculate. Then arranging for cash back balance for the purpose of redemption. So how do we arrange for the cash? Whether you are selling off your investments or whether you are going for a bank loan. So these are the various methods where you can arrange for cash. Then minimum number of shares to be issued for redemption. So what is the minimum number of equity shares you will be issuing for redemption? Then next one is the issue of bonus shares. Now how do we issue bonus shares? Bonus shares can be issued out of this capital redemption reserve account or out of the divisible profits which are available in the company. Then next one is the preparation of balance sheet, schedule 3, after the redemption. So what is the company's balance sheet? How does it look like after redemption? So all this we will be learning in this unit 1, that is redemption of preference shares. Mainly you will be having 5 to 6 journal entries to learn, and after that the various calculations and how all the accounts will be affected when you are going in for redemption. So all this we will be learning in unit 1. Next, in the second unit or the second module, it consists of mergers and acquisition of companies. Now, what is the meaning of amalgamation and acquisition? Now, what is amalgamation? Coming together of 2 or more companies. That we call it as amalgamation. And what is acquisition? So, when an existing company takes over a smaller company, so in order to reduce the competition, so that we call it as acquisition. So, it acquires or purchases a new company, so that we call it as acquisition. Then we have types of amalgamation. Amalgamation in the nature of merger, amalgamation in the nature of purchase. So what do we mean by amalgamation in the nature of merger? What do we mean by amalgamation in the nature of purchase? Then methods of calculation of purchase consideration. Now what do we mean by purchase consideration? Purchase consideration is the amount which is paid by the buyer company to the seller company. So the vendor company. So this amount we call it as purchase consideration. Then how do we calculate purchase consideration? That is the net asset method. So what is this net asset method? So total assets minus liabilities, we get the value of the net asset. Next we have the net payment method. So what is the payment method? So in this, what is the payment which is made by the buyer company? So that we will be learning. Then accounting for amalgamation, that is problems on pooling of interest method and purchase method. So we have only 2 methods here. That is, one is pooling of interest method. Second one is the purchase method. Then we have journal entries and ledger accounts in the books of the transferor company and journal entries and in the books of the transferee company. Now the transferor company is this is the buyer company and this is the selling company. Preparation of balance sheet of the merger. So after merger, how the balance sheet will look. So all this we will be studying in module 2 or unit 2, that is relating to mergers and acquisition of companies. Next, internal reconstruction of companies. So in this unit 3, we have internal reconstruction. Now, what do we mean by internal reconstruction? In other words, it means capital reduction. So, what are the various methods or what are the various ways in which we can reduce the capital of the company, and why do we need to have a capital reduction? So, what is the objective of capital reduction? So, why companies go in for capital reduction? What are the provisions for capital reduction under the Companies Act of 2013? What are the various forms of reduction? How do we reduce the capital? Accounting for capital reduction. So that is, how do we account for capital reduction? So all this we will be learning here. Problems on passing journal entries, preparation of capital reduction account and balance sheet after redemption. So all this will be a part of the 3rd unit, and we will also be preparing the balance sheet after reduction as per schedule 3 of the Companies Act of 2013. Then next, In the fourth unit, we have liquidation of companies. Now, what do we mean by liquidation of companies? In other words, winding up of the company. So, or closure of the company. So, meaning of liquidation means closing down of the company. So, what are the modes of winding up? So, what are the various methods of winding up of the company? Here, the first one is the compulsory winding up. So, compulsory winding up of the company. So, who can compulsorily wind up the company? It can be the creditors, or it may be any person who has filed a lawsuit against the company. They can get the company compulsorily wound up. Then voluntarily winding up. The company itself comes forward to wind up, and winding up subject to supervision by court. So all these are various methods in which the company can be shut down. Then order of payments in the event of liquidation. So what are the various method of payment? Who should be paid first? Who are the creditors for whom we have to pay? Who are the secured creditors, unsecured creditors, preferential creditors? So all this in the order of their payment we have to make, and then we have to make the payment. Then lastly, we have the liquidator statement of account. So liquidator will prepare his statement of account. Then liquidator's remuneration. So the liquidator will be remunerated for all his work, whatever he has done. So we will be calculating the remuneration of the liquidator. Then we will be working out problems on preparation of liquidator's statement of account. So all this we will be learning in this liquidation of companies, or in other words, winding up of the company. Then the last chapter, that is unit 5, the recent developments in accounting and accounting standards. So what are the recent developments in accounting? So let us see here. In this, the first one is the human resource accounting. Now what is this HR accounting or the human resource accounting? Then second one is environmental accounting, disclosure as per global reporting initiative. So what is this environmental accounting? So that we will be coming to know here. Then reporting of variables, social responsibility accounting, Indian accounting standards, meaning, objectives, significance of accounting standards in India, process of setting accounting standards in India, list of Indian accounting standards. So all these comprise the unit 5 of the syllabus. So after this, next we have the internals. So let us have a look at the internals here. So unit 1 and unit 2, it will be the syllabus for internal 1. Then for unit 3 and unit 4, that will be the syllabus for internals 2. And for the internals 3, we have the unit 5. So final marks will be awarded based on the average of 3 internals. Then next we will have this discussion on the question paper pattern. So since this is the NEP syllabus, so for the external you will be writing for 60 marks, and in this part A you will have to write two questions of 15 marks each. So 15 marks, 2 questions you have to answer. So they will give you 4 questions. Out of that, 2 questions you have to answer. Then for part B, it is 10 marks. You have to answer 2 questions. So out of 4, you have to answer 2. In part C, you will have 2 marks questions. Out of that, you have to answer 5 questions. And so the total comes up to 60. Then next, books for reference. We have Advanced Accountancy by R.L. Gupta and Corporate Accounting by Jain and Narang. So these are the 2 books we will have for reference. Then next we have the chapter-wise marks allotment. So in this 60 marks, you can expect from unit 1 almost 25 marks worth of questions. So you may get one 15-mark question and one 10-mark question. So that is for sure. So this is comprising of unit 1. So in unit 2 also, you can expect one 10-mark question and one 15-mark question. And in unit 3, that is capital reduction, you may get one 10-mark question and you may get 2 markers in this unit 3. Then unit 4, that is liquidation of companies, you may get one theory question and one 10 marks question. And unit 5, you will get almost all theory related questions only. So you can expect some 10 marks from this unit 5. So with this, I hope you have an idea of what you will be studying for the 4th semester BCom. Hope you have followed it. Thank you.